you know, the topic we treated on Tuesday when we said the women will now go to England and they will drive the woman out of the man out of the house. It starts from what we do here. Yeah. When your husband will be saying the thing that you don't agree with, you keep quiet because I'm a submissive wife. You are pretending. You are pretending, and when you now go to, when you jackpot, you will show
and we said that pretense is part of marriage, because sometimes pretense is part of, but let us not, some people can say, I don't pretend. Some people, you have to pretend to do, and I'm choosing my words carefully. Some women have to pretend, not because they choose to pretend, but because society makes them pretend. So, you know, now you are married, though. All these things that you do, all this your color hair, stop doing it. You're now a married woman. Now, she now suppresses her love for green hair because she's married now. She has to look a certain way. So it's all pretending like I am this person, but this is who I really am. So we all somewhat kind of, maybe pretend it's too much a strong word, but compromise. We all kind of compromise. I don't use compromise because sometimes it's not a compromise. It's a total 360 from what you want. Yes. But I think I have a call up. Hello, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
You're live. I need the volume, please.
Yes, my name is Gideon.
Hello,
I'm calling
Gideon.
from
You're live. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Go ahead. You're live.
Yes, I'm Gideon. I'm calling from Musa. Like I said, this week, I'm a pastor. And in most cases, they use the Bible as an excuse to shut women up in a Christian gathering. In that Bible passage where Paul warned women against talking, it was because I read the Bible commentary. It was in Corinth, and the women in Corinth were known for being cantankerous. So Paul was advising them to stop this their cantankerous nature. See, our thought is not a confusion. When you look at the Bible, you see several women that were great men of God. There was Deborah, who was a judge in Israel. There was even Paul himself. Two of his daughters were described as evangelists. And I've forgotten the Bible passage now, pardon me. There was even another woman that Paul described as a fellow worker in the vineyard. So it is absolutely unbiblical to say that the women should keep quiet. That is from the religious perspective. Then from the cultural perspective, I think it's all this mentality of men is always right, men is the head of the house. If the men are the head, then who is the neck?
Protesting as the archer meant to be.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this topic. Mariam was going to say something.
Yes. So I think I think context matters when you're discussing, you know, issues like this. You know, when as young wives and young mothers, you'd hear the older women say to you, you need to apply wisdom in the way that you speak to him. But I found that, especially with the much older women, was that the way that marriage was arranged at that time, everything, the financial authority, you know, everything was determined by the man, and the woman had to sort of find a way around him, you know, so that she's always in his good graces. And if you don't have the wisdom that they ask you to, you know, that they ask us to imbibe, then you lose out. Because, and also maybe you're not just one, you're one of 4 wives or one of many wives. And how do you make sure that you get your own, you know, part of the, what I'll call national cake? So that happens. But now I'm talking about the modern day marriage that many of us, you know, have. And where the wisdom will come would be that is the wisdom that it has to be practiced by both the husband and wife. So if a husband feels that when we go for our family meetings, when you speak up so much, it makes me look bad. Sis, please don't come for my go to our family meetings with me. Or when we go, just keep your opinions to yourself. But the woman understands that it's not because I'm saying shut up, you do not have anything reasonable to say. It's because for these people who are not even, you know, what they think or what they do should not affect our own relationship. A woman is likely to understand that. So if like, you know, the caller that said that the particular quote that she mentioned from the Bible was about very noisy women during meetings, their voice. So yes, if you do have someone, a spouse, male or female, husband or wife, who seems to just talk over people, always arguing and quite argumentative, it's good to say to them, there's a way that you need to have a conversation. Stop screaming, stop talking while I'm talking, and if you need to disagree, there's an agreeable way to do it. That's a different kind of conversation. But that general shut up, the reason why we're taking it up is because there used to be a time where it was expected for a woman to shut up and only be seen.
There was a time, I think I've shared this story also before, there was a time where, in fact, even my husband always holds it against me anytime we have a fight. So years ago, in our old house, so my husband was trying to help a woman, one of our neighbors, who was obviously, her husband wasn't around, she was alone, and she felt that one of the neighbors was always turning on the generator and the carbon monoxide was getting into her window. So obviously she has complained to us. My husband, being the man he is, you know, tried to appeal to the other neighbor who was doing that. That one, obviously, after a few appeals, he wasn't listening. So one night, the lady came to our house and she was crying. Her son couldn't sleep, was coughing all night. So my husband, out of anger, turned off the man's generator. The man comes out, was angry, fuming, and then they started throwing punches. Now, as a wife, yes, you're right because you're trying to fight a good cause. But you turning off the man's generator without his permission or even knocking on his door, I thought that was also wrong. So I'm telling you, so my husband and the two men were trying to fight, and I'm holding my husband and saying, Brown, stop it, stop it. Until tomorrow, Brown reminded me how I was telling him in front of everybody to stop it when he was trying to, you know, he felt that at that moment, I should have stood by him and not say a word and just fight for him. But I'm thinking, you were also wrong for just turning off another man's generator. I mean, yes, the man is wrong. We've tried to appeal to him, but come on, let us be civil here. And so as a woman, he expected me to just don't say anything. All I wanted you to do was just stand by me and be fighting the man on my behalf or just be
Well, to be very
supporting.
honest, in
that situation.
To be very honest, if I were Mr. Brown in that situation, I will fight you. Because why are you... Chebi, you are telling me, I will help him. We will throw punches together. We will fight that fight. I know that is wrong, but I will fight that fight.
Exactly.
I also expect that if outside train punches and you're with me, you to throw the punch with this is even man and woman matter. This is even friends. When we enter house, you can correct me. When it comes to fight or something,
so now let us bring that example into this. So a man is saying, it's a conversation. So it's not a fight, it's not punch. We're having a conversation and you are speaking and I'm speaking as a man. And you have a contrary opinion. You're not speaking alongside me. You have a contrary opinion and you're not saying they expect you to shut up. Even if you don't agree with me, keep quiet. If you agree with me, yes, so we're punching together. But if you don't agree, just keep quiet. That's what this woman is saying in a different way.
Well, if you're having if you're having like a meeting or something, or like if you're in a business area, in a business setting, for example, you're having meetings, you have a contract, you have projects you're working on, that does not even apply. Because my opinion matters for us to move forward. If you're going to make money, or if you we're not
using the same principle there. We're choosing ways to apply this principle.
Because are you trying to tell me that if we have a contract, if we have a project, and I know for your opinion is going to make us lose money, or make us lose out on something, and the reason why, as a smart, intelligent woman, you brought me on that meeting. If not, why am I at that meeting? Is for me to share my opinion. Of course, I'll share my opinion to correct, and so that we know that we are moving forward. That's different. It's different from when you're fighting or when someone is attacking your person.
I hear Amaka, but I also think that let's put this way, and you may see what that woman is saying and what Mora is trying to say, which is, let's say this is a meeting, no physical punches, and your husband has stood up and he's giving what he believes is the right thing. And then you get up and give what you think is better. And when he comes home, he says, I expected you to keep quiet because at that time, I just needed your support, but you made me look bad. So if we agree with punching alongside, well, then we have to agree with him when he says, because you were talking as well, you made me look bad. But you must read the room.
Can I give you my own personal experience?
Because Satan hates authority. Satan hates to go through the gate of authority. He hates authority so much.
So
this woman is ridiculous.
She's an evangelist.
Because what she's doing is giving her congregation, to me, wrong advice. And I mean, What's she saying? I don't even understand what she's saying. And even from what I remember of the Bible, Adam was not even there when.
Okay, you
wait, from what I remember of the Bible, Adam was not even there.
He was sleeping.
It was only Eve he went to meet secretly.
Okay, yeah.
And when Adam came back, she now convinced him to eat the apple. So they don't. What she's saying, I don't even understand. But I was going to give from my own personal example. During Jonathan, between Jonathan and Buhari, you know, there were a lot of arguments. Who should win the election? And everyone was supporting Buhari. I was one of those that, forgive me, Buhari, but I wasn't supporting the president, the former president then. So I was a lone ranger.
Yeah.
Everybody would say, Buhari should be the next president. Me, I would say no. My partner was supporting Buhari. And we will be arguing. But let me tell you the truth. When we will get home, it caused problem, friction. Because we drew apart. Because our views were so different.
Was it because of the views, or was it the way that you spoke about it?
I must have been the views.
This thing you're saying, these last elections broke many marriages. Same thing. Yes. Because there are lots of people in different groups. So it goes back to, because you're my husband and you are supporting, must I support what you're supporting?
No. So for me, that's why. So for me,
for the sake of my home,
yes. So for me, this conversation, you know, as the Honorable Minister said, she says because of the machismo or the man's ego. So that's the only place I would differ with her, because I expect it to be a two-way street. If I do it because of your ego and I give you the respect, I hope in my own time you would give me the same respect. So it's not something that is only required of me to give to the man. I hope it's what is also required of the man to give to me. If we find ourselves in a situation where maybe your silence will benefit us much better than both of us looking like we're arguing or seemingly like we're arguing in front of people, allow me, then give me that grace and respect to speak my mind, and when we get home, then we can, you know, discuss it. But it's not just about the man. Only the man is allowed to speak. Only the man is allowed to have an opinion. And if you're at a table that you have also been invited to, do not speak because your husband is there. I don't agree with that.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so like there's something I always hammer on all the time. I always say, please marry your kind. That's my rule in this life. You have no business. When you're dating somebody, you should know what you like. You should know what you want. You should know the other person. And you should know someone that, when you're dating, someone that supports you. There are men that support you, want to lift you up. Even when you're not speaking, they'll tell you, speak. Go there and speak. There are men that support their women to be in politics, to be in positions of power, because they encourage that, right? So if you're that kind of woman that you know that you cannot pretend, you cannot manipulate, you cannot swallow that your opinion, that you want to stand on what you want to stand on.
Marry your kind.
Marry your kind. Marry the man that will be clapping, applauding like, yo, baby, go, baby, man, that's my
but
baby.
But that man, things change. Things happen. Politics happen. LP showed up, Obedient showed up, APC happened, PDP happened. People are taking sides. So we didn't discuss that before marriage. So you can be PDP, I can be APC, and then we are fighting in the house. So these happen. So
you know, you're so right about things happening, because there are people, women have said of, this is the man that used to support me. He would go for all my events. All of a sudden, he feels threatened, or the language in our house has changed. So sometimes I've seen that some men will support you to a certain point. I've even heard a man say, I don't mind my wife to get as rich. She can be as rich as she wants to be, as long as she's not richer than I am. I will support her to be as, you know, to have all the money in the world, but she cannot have more money than I do. So this shows you that sometimes some men, because I don't think it's all men, some men would, you know, as long as they feel that they are still better than you in some way, it allows them to be, in their own interpretation, that it allows them to be the head of the family in that way. As long as you're not threatening what they feel that they bring to the table, then they will support you.
Maybe my word pretense,
enter into their territory.
Maybe my word pretense is not as heavy as we think. Maybe it's actually apt for this, because we all kind of pretend. The man is pretending to support you because, hey, you are making him look good, and next he flips on you. Let me take this call for Ferdinand. I'll come to you, Honorable Minister. Ferdinand, you're live. Thanks for calling. Hello.
Okay, good morning.
Morning, sir.
And and the view, all of you. I appreciate you for this discussion. I want to start my statement by saying the woman talks about talking too much, not stopping the woman from talking at all. If a man stops the woman from talking at all, that is slavery. When you talk too much as a woman in front of the man or in public, it makes the man look smaller, and it is not good for your marriage at all. I am one man that loves giving my wife opportunities, bringing her up, allow her to express herself and also make her input. But I found out that if we are having like WhatsApp family meetings, my wife will have.
Oh, yikes. Ferdinand, I really wanted to finish up with it. So he's saying that,
I think honestly, each case has to be assessed on its own merit. What you have to do as a woman is always protect your mental health. I think that is really very important, you know, and if the inability to speak to your husband or to articulate yourself is really something that impacts your mental health, then I think, you know, you have to assess the situation. You know, it's easy, you can't really put it in a box because things are very different, but I think it's very important for you as a woman to protect your mental health, because it's not even so much about your children. If you want to be a productive mother and a productive wife and a productive member of the society, as a wife, you have to protect your mental health.
Let's take a few comments on social media. I'm sure that we have lots of comments.
Ogumola Emmanuel says, Ms. Amaka, having a voice or differing opinion is fine. My issue is that when roles are reversed, many women expect unwavering public support or in general, even when their stances make no sense. Not backing them can quickly turn into a major issue. Adisa the Enigma says, the pastor who called is a joker, according to Adisa. The pastor woman was right in totality. If you hear the woman, she said, Satan hates authority, and the average woman today working always wants to usurp authority, and for this not to happen, Paul warns.
I told you, some people agreed with her, some people disagreed. Yes, why?
Because it's true that, Amaka, don't marry an authoritarian. Marriage must be enjoyed, not endured. Allow your spouse to shine and be their biggest cheerleader. And now they all want to marry men with money. When they demand, the women complain.
You know, someone says, future wife, please be outspoken and say your mind. No be mumu or property, I define that beg.
I told you, the guy, my data for my husband, he broke up. The reason why I'll mention the Leke broke up with me is that he said that I'm too dominant, I'm too bold, I'm too dominating, I'm too, you know, you always just talk. I don't think you can never be humble. You can never be humble. And I'm thinking, really?
So he was smart enough to understand his kind.
Exactly. Yes, now. And he was smart to understand. If he was the one that broke up, he knew that you impact his mental health. So he left you. He did you a favor.
So he didn't exactly. So Amaka, you're right. Marry the person
find your level.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up on this. But, let's go on a short break, and we come back and take on our next topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Meet Benga Oreshegun, a fearless voice and an advocate for the truth. He's bringing fresh energy and bold insights to Journalists Hangout.
Get ready for deeper analysis and dynamic perspectives. Join me and Babajide Kolade Otitoju with other veteran journalists on Journalists Hangout. Weekdays from 5 p.m. and on Sundays 1:30 p.m.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello.
What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
TVC News Weekend Lineup. TVC Breakfast Saturday with Kemi Fola Adeyemo and Emmanuel Ajayi. Political Standpoint with Precious Amayo. Newsweek with Mark Otabo. Politics and Sunday with Femi Akonde. Community Forum with Sarah Yeku. Get ready for the biggest stories, fresh perspectives and burning news discussions that round up the weekend. Only on TVC News.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers. Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are a long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government that will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyingo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing
Thanks for staying with us. Before we move on to our next topic, we have quite a number of tweets and comments. Go ahead, Mariam.
Vincent Stevens says, but it's the truth. She's absolutely right. After he's done talking, she can also talk. If both of them are talking, they will not hear each other. And Longevity Daniel says, but she's right to a certain point. We don't know her reason or what warranted the said teaching. Then Aram Tokwe says, every good advice to sustain marriages is always criticized by overexposed ladies. Can they repair broken homes? But they can break homes saying things they can't try with their partners.
Yeah, sorry, Bashari Olayinka says, unfortunately, this woman liberation is getting out of hand. Women are beginning to see women liberation as a sort of competition between the husband and his wife. And then that pastor, Adisa the Enigma, says that pastor who called is a joker. Oh, did you read that one already?
I read that one.
And then he also says, God bless the honorable minister for the wisdom she had learned. The honest truth is that even as highly educated as she is, she shocks me as a traditional woman.
Okay, so that's a good one for you. Anyway, so I think in a nutshell, really, the truth is that everything is contextual. And I think from the woman's perspective, she expects that women are supposed to be submissive. And in part of showing submission is to be quiet when your husband is talking. On the other side, we're saying that today's woman is confident, she has an opinion, she wants to be heard, and she expects to be supported to be heard. However, the middle ground in that is that, yes, you can be heard, but because you're a union with somebody, maybe you should also compromise. Do we use the word compromise?
Yeah.
Or see how you can, both of you respect each other. It's a two-way street where your wife is speaking, sometimes you respect her, she also respects you when you're speaking. So we have to find a middle ground in this whole thing. I think that's how we can end with that. Moving on to our next topic. The Australian government proposed a bill on a minimum age limit for children to use social media, citing mental and physical health concerns. According to the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, the government would run an age verification trial before introducing the legislation. Now, the question is, should the government of Nigeria also toe the same path and place an age restriction on social media? What are your thoughts? That's a conversation we're having. You can call us on 081 0764 1679, 090 3440. You can also send your messages to X and at TVC Connect, and also on our YouTube page. So that's a conversation on social media. Yeah. I know that during the holidays, it was, oh my goodness, I tried all the rules in this world. I put rules here, restrictions. The kids were just so glued to their screens. So I banned screens till 4 p.m. Initially, it was till noon. When I realized that noon till midnight, they were on it, I said, okay, no TV, no phone, no tabs till 4 p.m. And then they'll be waiting. So they'll be playing with board games and stuff like that. They'll be waiting. Oh, once it's 4 p.m., they are waiting. They are waiting. I mean, is it 4 o'clock yet? All the way. And I was like, even that for me was still too much.
No, it's too much.
So it's like, do you think this makes sense? Or do you think it can happen in Nigeria? Or what do you think there's a need to consider this in Nigeria? You want to start?
I think, honestly, it should be a veritable consideration. I mean, social media is a fantastic tool for social engagement, but it also causes a lot of social harm. And really, the concern for me as a parent and just as a member of the society is you see a lot of young people really becoming social media addicts, and they have access to information that really they have no business having. I really do think there has to be, or there should be, a consideration of having some sort of regulation, especially for young kids. You have young kids that don't go out, as I think the Prime Minister pointed out. They don't do natural, every child that you see as young as 3, 4, they have a tablet in their hand. And I honestly think it is even eroding their mental capacity. It really, it should be a great consideration. I don't like the access of social media that young children have.
As adults, most of us are addicted to our devices, our iPads, we're always, you see people go out, they're in a restaurant, everybody's on their phone. You know, sometimes I go somewhere, or you are at a concert, everyone is on their phone.
In a train.
And you're looking, so nobody's having conversations anymore. Husband and wife will text each other. They're in the same house, but they will text each other. So we, as adults, we are addicted to our devices. And we have the mechanism to be able to fight it. Kids don't even have that mechanism. So you are putting them, you are giving them these devices early on. You know, because my daughter doesn't allow her kids, they can watch maybe one cartoon a day. One. Wow. And she's the one that will download it for them, put it on her computer, they will watch it out. That's...
How does she occupy them?
They have to occupy themselves. They will get games, they play games. And actually, when you see them playing
together.
They're playing together. They're getting to know each other. They're reading. You know, the boy reads better than the girl, so he reads to her. Or she will just sit down while he's reading. You know, so they find things to do. But because we have that mentality of, the phone, I can't see it. You are suffering this children. This children are deprived. It's how I'm thinking.
Grandma thinks wrong.
You know, but she's like, Mommy, when you come, don't let them near your iPad. Rollery now, please now. Let them even play 1 or 2 games. No. And she's really adamant about it. I feel she's a bit strict.
So, I mean, we're going to come to you, Mariam.
Okay, so for me, I think it's important to place an age restriction on the use of social media, especially. Sometimes I feel bad that our children are not exposed to some of the things I felt helped to build our character. We had time to read. Like, there was time to do something, finish it, and then do the next thing. But you find children nowadays, they're on their tabs doing one thing or so they're never fully present to do anything, you know? And it's taking, and I think that what we'll see in a few years when they become adults, we will not be able to take it. It just also reminds me, maybe I'm being too extreme here, but it reminds me of the time where they said that drugs came into like communities, and there were communities that from the top to the bottom, the whole streets, everybody was on. Yeah, you just had drug addicts everywhere, and it affected the communities. The communities were like ghost towns. I feel like social media use has gotten to that stage. There's like
zombies.
Yeah, it's like it's like a drug. And my fear is we have children who have so much information, but they don't understand the character that they need to say yes and no. You know, they haven't developed mentally enough to be able to make some choices. There's some children that are already under pressure to be a certain way because they've seen it over and over and over again, how this person in America is like this, and every day it shows the parents going shopping, you know? So you're thinking, I am not happy. At 6, you already think that. At 8, at 10, you already think that your life is not perfect because you've watched Kaylee in America, who is, by the way, just shooting content showing her fabulous life. So I really would, advise that. No, I'm just giving an example, but it's important. It's important that we have age restriction placed. But then, the age, what is the right age?
But the problem now is that even schools are lazy. I come to Yamaka, schools are getting lazy because all their assignments on social media. So I'm trying to say no more iPads. In fact, I was so happy when they were going to school on Monday. I packed all the laptops, everything away. Just for them to come tomorrow, yesterday, Mommy, the assignments down, we have tablets, we have to check, and I'm thinking, no, I'm not giving you that tablet again. Say, no, our assignments are there. How would so the schools are also trying to use social media. I'm trying to get them away from the screens, and the schools are bringing them back. So I get confused. Amaka, your thoughts on this?
Okay, so, when we're all growing up, there are certain things that we weren't exposed to, all right? And that's a good thing, because I believe it's your duty as a parent to protect your child from certain things until the time they are able to assimilate those informations. They can know what to do with them. They can build character. And also, we also underestimate the power of social interaction, interacting with people, playing, that innocence that comes with that playing, being yourself, being free, finding yourself. I believe that with this age of social media, it's also taken away from children, right? To do that. And rightly, like what Mariam said, like children are no longer concentrating on one thing. They are on tabs, like flipping through. And life is not like that. You need to be able to focus on one thing, finish that thing, go to the next. And you find out that even at home, so when you send a child to do an errand, the child is not taking their time to complete their errand properly because they want to run back to their tabs to do something. So yes, I support the fact if Nigeria can also put an age restriction to the use of social media, because it's too much information. Kids are losing their self-confidence. They're not taking their time to understand themselves. They don't understand that they're unconsciously that they're competing. So that jealousy, that competition, that envy now begins at an earlier age than it should.
Can I also say I agree with Sister Amaka, because children now don't have the ability to develop those social skills. And, social media can be very toxic. You have heard stories. It puts unnecessary pressure on young children. And for me, with the ministry of my ministry, that component of culture, what you find is with social media, our children have lost these values, our ideals, our traditions. They learn it from social media. So I think it's very important, honestly, to consider putting that age restriction so that we build, as you said, character. And they understand who they are as Nigerians. And then, they can have access to it by the time they have, that character.
But where I get confused is that the world... But see, where I get confused is that the world has passed Ludo. The world has passed all these things that we've done. I mean, I tried to buy those board games, and they played it for like maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and after that they were done. There was the other one, Scrabble. I bought lots of games for them. But 2 weeks after, they were done. They played it back to back, like, and they felt they were okay. So the point is that we are saying the world has evolved. Everything is on social media. Even we on social. My kids come to me, I'm hearing the staircase, walking up the staircase, and I'm also on my phone. I quickly hide it because I don't want them to see me on the phone. Because the more they see me on the phone, they also want their own screen too. So we are also not laying good examples for them either.
No. Okay, so this is where I would say where our fault is. So you bought all these board games. How many times did you play with them?
Yep.
Because I remember growing up, we played the board games with our parents. They made the time.
Yep.
But now what we do, we hand them over these things. We don't engage them. Then we go over to our phones. And that is what, and you know with children, is what you do that they want, is not what you tell them to do. So
that's true.
My children, I remember there was a time they were like, Mommy, don't play with us. We wish you were the way you used to be, you know, more engaging. So for us, and a lot of people explain this. They say for us, for our generation, we're so afraid of our children being bored from before they could say anything. You just hand them a tablet so that they are not bored. But boredom is important because it allows for creativity.
Don't cry. Just take
exactly. So if you allow a child to be bored, he will come up with creative ways to not be bored and build character and build all sorts of things. So we also need to tell ourselves, this parenting we're doing, are we as involved as we should be, or we're also distracting ourselves from parenting with our own devices?
Bless you. This is Elizabeth. Thanks for calling. You're live. I'm Joss.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'd like to say, first of all, some parents have laid out how they would want to parent their children. Now, some have made the decision, okay, we're not going to expose our children to certain devices until they've come of certain age. But then they now find themselves exposing these children to such devices at an early age. And I'll tell you why. It's because they've seen parents A, parents B, and they've seen their children having these things, being exposed to these, and they feel, why can't my child have access to this? That's one of the issues that we're having. Another thing is, I actually believe that, or actually support.
Well, Elizabeth, we're having trouble hearing you. I hope our viewers could hear you at home.
Yeah.
Let's take a few comments on social media. We'll be wrapping up on this very soon. But my worry, as I said, is that, okay, if we check ourselves, schools are not checking themselves. They don't give them assignment. Everything now is on the apps. And when the kids are drawn to the apps, you know, the other day, yesterday was my first outing after my kids' school. And I took my iPad back. And that's what I used at the event yesterday. I didn't recognize the iPad again. They had changed everything, the screensavers, they put in like 1,000,001 different apps, and I'm thinking, what is this? I couldn't even find my own app to do the work I wanted to do. It took me a while. So even the school, everything has been accustomed to using the app. So how do I, as a parent, disengage a child that the school they expect them to be online?
You know, for example, okay, so now you're saying something different in the sense that it's okay for kids to have the app, to have the tab. But you now need to monitor what's there, like as in their creative games, their educational stuff that you put on those tabs to monitor that they're using it, tech things, coding, that they use it for what is meant to be used. But is restriction from social media, TikToking, dancing, Instagram, having access to all those things. Social media should be a no-no till a certain age. But the kids should be allowed to have tabs for school. Because it helps them to be able to compete globally, you know, like to do the coding and stuff. They need to use a tab, right, to do all those things. And especially, for example,
the open pages, was it not Bimbo, the actress, that I was saying that the Big Brother, what's her name? Yes. She said that her daughter went to go and open a TikTok account because these kids will find a way around it. They will hide it somewhere. You won't know where it is.
I've noticed about one of these social media, on the children's channel, they have all this adult content.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, they're
you know, and because the children are their targets, and they know you are, I want to be in the kitchen doing some work. Yes. Yeah, take this tab and watch it. They are exposed to things that we don't.
Because curiosity will make them keep clicking those things.
But even that adult content, for me, there should be some restriction. You go to a country like Turkey, Dubai, you know, Saudi Arabia, China, you don't have access to it. It is so annoying when you, as a person, is even just trying to navigate the social media and, you know, something comes up. It is so, I mean, it is such a rude awakening. And to think that your young children also have access to this, I think, honestly, it should be a consideration that, you know...
They tried it sometime in this country, and Nigerians were, when we wanted to regulate social media, and I'm not talking about restrictions now, general regulation, the conversation was started. I think it was the former minister, Lai Mohammed, was trying to push for that. Everybody went, oh, they want to gag us, but part of the conversation in regulating is putting restrictions on this accessibility for certain sites. But Nigerians refused.
Yeah.
Same way governors refuse to share to the access to
but I think most people are going to agree.
Are you going back to that?
Yeah, I think most people will agree. Honestly, most adults are going to agree to a restriction for children because all of us as parents are struggling with the same thing. Our children are just exposed to a very toxic and unhealthy
because we're not saying regulate it for adults, we're saying regulate it for children.
So that they can build their character.
Yes, because...
it's the adult that give the children now. Take my tablets, take my phone.
Yeah, but if they know that...
No, it's not on you as a parent. It's not parenting that, as in I can't come to your home to tell you how to raise your child. At least you know that. At least I know that. Yeah, that there's something that protects.
If I was the minister in charge of that portfolio, that ban would certainly be a huge consideration. I hope the minister, my colleague, is listening to us.
Let me just read some comments. Sorry.
Can I just?
Yeah.
Okay. So recently, I'd seen on social media, a school that uses apps, to teach children. So they go to school for many hours. Maybe 6 hours a day, but the first 2 hours they have coaches and then they use AI tools to teach them. Then for the rest of the hours, they engage them in physical stuff. So they are building things, they're creating things. But what I find with us here is we go to school, we do schoolwork for a few hours, and then we now use our AI tools for fun, right? So for me, the mindset to change it, so we're using AI tools and apps a bit more intelligently, is to allow children be exposed to AI tools that can help build them, educate them. So, when they spend their time there, they look for more content like that. The content that comes to them is content that educates them and builds them. And then they spend the rest of their time, doing handwork and playing with each other, playing in the streets and doing all sorts of, and doing sports. So that need to watch other people's lives and follow the trends and follow, all that would be limited.
Someone here is saying boredom is a way of making you creative.
Yeah, yes. Miriam said that. We have to wrap up on this, but I think really, I think in a nutshell, really, to wrap this up, in a nutshell is that it's something worth considering because kids today are addicted and we say that the world does need them to be online, but they must be educative. It must be such that it's actually stuff they're doing that can help them build their creativity and become better citizens, not stuff that will harm them or affect their mental health. That I think is something we should consider. Let's go on a very short break now. We'll come back. We'll now focus on the Ministry of Art, Culture and Creative Economy. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Kano State, the commercial capital of northern Nigeria, is on the march to progress and innovation with Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf in the saddle. Be part of the vision that is transforming Kano State into a hub for economic growth and opportunities. Hear directly from the governor as he engages the people, listens to their concerns and shares his vision for a brighter future. Explore the developmental projects embarked upon by his administration to change lives from infrastructure, healthcare, education to tourism. Watch the rich history of the culture and tradition of Kano and savor the vibrant spirit that unites the center of commerce on Kano Spotlight. Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Thanks for staying with us. On this segment, we will be focusing on the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. It's been over a year since the Minister, Honorable Hannatu Musawa, was sworn in. Today, she will be speaking on what she met, what she's done so far, and what she plans to do. You can join the conversation again on 081-0764-1679, 090-241-63440. You can also send your tweets to X. We'll be happy to read it on at TVC Connect. Good to have you again.
Thank you.
So I know you're in Lagos. You had a stakeholders meeting yesterday to share some of the plans. You discussed something about an 8-point agenda. Could you share with us the plan exactly for the ministry and what you hope Nigerians will know what you're doing?
Yeah. So, you know, when I came into the ministry, what I saw was literally nothing in terms of a foundation had been set up for specifically creative industry. This is the first time that there has ever been a ministry that really sort of caters specifically for that. We've always had sort of that cultural component, but it always came under information, and information sort of overshadowed it. So to think that, you know, there were not legal regulatory frameworks in place that would really support the ministry and infrastructure, it was really, for me, it was a crying shame, because even though I'm a little bit of a creator, because I do art, I do poetry and writing, but I didn't know that nothing had really been done. The industry has really thrived and been successful, specifically globally. And I keep on talking about the fact that, you know, Nigeria is having a moment, but is in spite of government. Government has done absolutely nothing up until now to support the industry. It's the content and talent of Nigerians that have taken it abroad, that have sort of grown it organically. So what I decided to do is that building a house was to really start from the bottom, to build the fantastic foundation. But when you're building a house and it's beautiful and you've got wonderful furniture, but you don't have a proper foundation, it's going to crumble. So in order to do that, at the beginning, what I did was I wanted to do a proper deep dive and research. So I brought in some of the best minds and cerebral organizations in the world to help me look at, you know, the work has already been done in other climes. In South Korea, you can see what they're doing. In Japan, in America, what they've done with Silicon Valley. So I knew that there was a lot of value here. So I brought in BCG, EY, McKinsey to do a deep dive, to do research using these benchmark countries and to sort of come up with a strategy which we can localize to see how not only we can, I wanted to do, well, the president told me he wanted an economic expansion from the industry, and also he wanted job creation. So we looked at it and I saw, like I said, there was no framework in place. So, of course, when you're talking about putting up a framework, you have to look at the policy. I came up with an 8-point agenda, which Destination 2030, the issue of policy, IP policy. To think that there was no IP policy to support the industry, for me, was a crying shame. So, you know, we did a stakeholder engagement across the full spectrum of the industry, which is at least 49 subsectors. So it was not something that I could just do alone with a team. I wanted to engage members of the industry so that they can bring their input, and we can flesh out this policy. And of course it was interministerial as well, because it's cross-cutting. So together, myself and the Minister of Trade and Investment, Doris, we came up, we did this huge engagement. And I'm so excited to say that, like I mentioned yesterday, in 2 weeks, I will deliver IP policy. That is foundational. That is key. You cannot talk about any implementation of any program without giving the securitization that is required. And you're talking about investment, but you have to give people the confidence that, you know, their IP is protected. And of course, to also allow members within the industry to use their IP as collateral.
So just for our viewers to know, that's intellectual property. So you have ideas, you have things that are yours, and then you put it out there, and it's all protected. Somebody else is taking from what your sweat, your ideas. So that what you do, that shield you're giving to us as creatives, is that I can have an idea, put it out there, and you protecting me so that I earn my money. Yes, Mariam.
Yes, you know, to be honest, when I heard that she was coming, I was thinking about it. I said my first question will be, what does the ministry do? Like really, what I've always heard, you know, the information as you mentioned, but what is it about culture? So recently, you know, I've been seeing a lot of information about the Benin Empire, the Benin mode, but I'm hearing it from Oyibo people. They are fascinated by it. Nigerians don't know anything about that. Our culture and our cultural practices and our cultural heritage, is this something that falls under your ministry? And if it is, what is your plan for educating Nigerians and also, you know, leveraging on our culture and our landmarks to, you know, to better Nigerians and also make us quite visible out there?
So I often say that there's a huge real estate in this sector, from the cultural industry and the creative industry. I have committed that we're going to contribute at least $100 billion to increase the GDP by 2030 and also create jobs and also sort of reposition Nigeria, because like you said, you know, our culture, the white people, the diaspora community are very interested in this culture of ours. Some of what you're talking about is the lack of infrastructure. The fact that we don't have proper museums. Listen, when I went to the National Museum here in Lagos, I almost cried. I couldn't believe that that was the National Museum. We don't have a museum in Abuja, the capital city. So this is where, when we talk about, you know, the Benin culture, where, you know, the diaspora community see worth in this culture of ours, in our history, these fantastic artifacts. We're talking about bringing them back. We don't even have storage to be able to do it. And I keep on saying that what we want to do is to do everything in the best interest of those artifacts. So when you're bringing them back, you have to build storage facilities, which we're doing. We want to leverage on this culture and the interest that people have within our creativity to see that we have a huge cultural expansion, making Nigeria the cultural hub of Africa. 240 fantastic kaleidoscope of tribes, beautiful, wonderful, every single one of them. We want to use that to bring unity. We want to use it to reposition Nigeria, change the narrative of Nigeria. They talk about rebranding. I don't want to use that word rebranding. I want to talk about repositioning us so that when you go abroad, they talk about Nigeria from the vantage point of what we have to offer from our talent and our content. And, you know, this cultural expansion that we talk about, I want to close all the gaps that disallow us to monetize that particular sector. So, for example, the policy that we spoke about, I mean, it's very wide, so I'm sure I will not be able to divulge everything. But
go ahead, Lama.
Okay, yes. Okay, like Mariam, like what you said in terms of telling our stories, I know like Ebony, like Mwabudu, they've been trying. But I just feel like so much of our stories, even like something as important as the Biafran War, stories are not being told properly. We are losing our heritage as a people. Even simple things as games that children play, you know, we're letting technology take over. Like even the Ogaswe that children play outside, even the Ayo, we call it Uncho, right? So I keep seeing people going for all these competitions. They'll go for chess competition, they'll do that competition. We need to start also creating the environment where we can even do all those on competitions, all those are local, so that we don't lose, because those games, traditional games, they teach you something. They teach you patience, they teach you how to think locally, so we don't lose our songs, how we tell folklores, how we tell stories.
Around,
you know, so
that's very interesting because, you know, gaming and animation is a very exciting subsector under our ministry, and we are working on some exciting projects that will leverage on our culture to, I mean, we've developed one already, and it's almost at the point of almost complete, well, it's at the point of development. So we are doing a number of games and animation, just using that culture, our dances, just an expression of who we are. to ensure that we talk about the children getting confused as to their identity and their ideals. So we're using that. I would love to share more, maybe more of some of the amazing things that we're doing in terms of all those subsectors and maybe...
I mean, there was something, I'll come to work in a second, because I know that you also wanted collaboration, because I was saying that there are people who have organically built this industry.
They've done it.
There are people, you talked about Madhouse yesterday. I know your animation for HIP TV, Headies Awards. These are people who have built this thing. Now, your ministry is saying, I'm here to collaborate. In what ways can you collaborate with existing events or activities that's happening? And we have the National Theatre. How can that be accessible? For example, he shouldn't be traveling all around the world looking for Headies. They will have a National Theatre right there. So what can the government do? What infrastructure do you have available that can make existing industry activities more accessible for Nigeria?
I mean, ironically, even last week I had a meeting with Mr. Ayo, telling him I'm going to need him to bring the Headies back to Nigeria. I mean, I told him, it doesn't need to be in America. We have the Wole Soyinka Theatre. And I hope he's watching and listening, because I'm supposed to have a meeting with him after this. He went to see the Wole Soyinka Theatre yesterday, and I want to get his feedback, because we want to use that. That's a national edifice, which the Committee of Bankers have done an astronomical job. If you have never been anywhere in Nigeria, you need to go to the Wole Soyinka Theatre. That will make you so proud to be a Nigerian. They have done a fantastic job. There's nowhere in the world as beautiful as the Wole Soyinka Theatre.
No, I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I hope we can do a show from that.
I would love to.
I can co-host again.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall I take you up on that?
Yes, please. And we want to bring. Listen, by the next year, because now we have put all the framework in place, and we're working on infrastructure, arenas, cinemas, we're working on museums, we're working on Abuja Creative City, a one-stop shop for the 49 subsectors that will be represented. All over the country, we're working on the Renaissance Project, which is going to work directly with the states to use the unique peculiarities in the state to ensure that there's long-term sustainability of whatever the state represents in terms of culture and creative industry. So honestly, in the next year, you're going to see, because now we have the framework in place and we have the protection and securitization, and we're coming up with a number of memos that I've taken to FEC. Hopefully we'll get approval. That will also get funding for members in the industry. Okay, we talk about those that have been successful, but there's a number of other people that just don't have access to funding. So I'm working on that capacity building. We've come up with CLAP, and is an online database that will give you access to training, capacity building, proper networks, job creation. I want to make, they say is the new oil. For me, it is beyond the new oil, because not every Nigerian has access to go and work in an oil company. Every single Nigerian, no matter where they are, has the ability to create content in their bedroom. And so this is what I want to do, to bring it, to localize it, to make it a resource for every Nigerian, and to contribute to increase the GDP, because that will be able to be distilled down. And, help other sectors within the country.
So I was going to ask you two questions. One, how accessible are you? One. Second, do you know about celebration?
I've heard about, well, let me answer the first one. I have heard about celebration. And thank God, when I came and sat here, you invited me to participate, which I've already accepted. So it looks like I'm going to be doing a lot of trips to Lagos in the next couple of months. And, we are supporting other, we're supporting fashion shows, we're supporting all what Chioma is doing, Mo Abudu, what they have done in the industry, all the feats and all the different festivals and carnivals and Afrif. We're going to work with them. We want
President Macron was here for celebration. Did you hear about that? He came. Yes. He came all the way here. Just went straight to celebration. So it's actually a national treasure.
Well, if President Macron has come, I certainly have to come as well. Listen, every single person within the sector, Because government has never been there till now.
Yeah.
So government is there to serve members of the industry. So anyone that, you know, wants government to come in, to use that network, to use that access, I'm here. How accessible am I? I think I probably am one of the most accessible ministers. Honestly, I'm extremely accessible. On Thursdays between 12 to 2, I sit my behind in my office and I accept anyone who, I mean, I have to limit it. Before it was every day, but I've got to work as well. So every Thursday from 12 to 2, when I'm around in the country, I'm in my office and anyone can come to the office to see me.
Okay, so. The reason I asked you if you'd heard about Celebration is because the next question was going to be, what do you know about it?
Yeah.
What do you know about it? And because I hear that you're bringing the Grammys to Nigeria.
Yes.
Why bring Grammys to Nigeria? Why not have a Nigerian version? Not call it Grammys. I mean, we already have the headies here that can compare with the Grammys. That they will now want to win our awards because we keep on looking to the West for validation.
Yeah.
Let's validate ourselves from here because that's why I asked you about Celebration. What really do you, because right now, I know that Celebration is the longest standing festival, musical festival in Nigeria. We have been on for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't know that.
No, I actually don't. I must admit, I don't know as much as I should about celebrations. I brought in Baba Abba, who is part of your community. He's spoken to me about it. I invite everyone that has already an established award show, I've received a number of them, to come and collaborate with government, or even, if not collaborate with government, come to government to see how government can use its network, its access, and its resources to support these festivals. Now you talk about the Grammys. Of course, I think there's room for everyone because at the moment, Nigeria is at the foremost of music expression in the world. Afrobeats, everyone is excited about it. And of course, the Grammys was interested in coming to Africa by and large because of Afrobeats, and we have to claim that. The Grammys, Africa was coming to Africa, and it was having founding members. The founding members were South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and the third proposal was Nigeria. I thought long and hard. Just as you said, we have local talent and local brand, which we need to support. So I thought long and hard about if Grammys comes to Africa and it's having founding members, and it has these three founding members, South Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, and is asking Nigeria. And for a long time, I sort of, I did a lot of grandstanding. But I think it would be dropping the ball for the heartland and the center of Afrobeats not to key into something like that. The fact that Nigeria would be one of the founding members of African Grammys does not mean that we will not support our own brand. And like I said, and which is why I keep on supporting and asking the headies to come back into Nigeria. Every single music festival that is of Nigerian brand, I want to encourage to come to see how we can work and partner with you, if it's only for our network, our access, and what way we can support to build that Nigerian brand. And like I said, we want to make Nigeria the creative hub of the world. And now that the world is really interested in this content, I think it is important for us to ensure that we encourage that.
The final question. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we have to wrap up very soon, but I think people have heard you say 49 subsectors, and I'm wondering, okay, that's fashion, makeup, the whole work. So So they were expecting that government is building some kind of infrastructure to support these industries. Because many have been doing makeup and all they do is just do makeup. But it's got to be a framework to support that industry properly. So hopefully when you finally launch and when people can now start seeing how they can key into your plans. So let me give you the final 1 minute just to summarize everything.
Just to that, I want to say we do a framework to support the whole industry and the whole sector. And then those 49 subsectors, we're coming up with different programs and initiatives for them. Just before I left Abuja, we came up for an initiative for the comedy scene, for the beading scene, the jewelry scene, the henna scene, the hair dressing, the hair, makeup, the cosmetic scene, so the architecture. So every single one of those has its own programs and initiatives. But like I said, what is important is for us to put up a foundation for everything. Listen, it's an exciting time for the industry, and I'm still looking to have input from members of the industry, which is why, these stakeholder engagements must take place, because I need people within the industry to continue to help us flesh out. They care about the industry.
Thank you. So, you have money to do all these things. You have plenty of money to do
I'm not sure about that. It's the partnerships that will bring the money.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, I loved it. This was on my bucket list.
And I'm glad you've
and I certainly hope that I will come back.
Tick that box now. So good. So hopefully we'll come back and do a bigger one with you.
In the National Theatre.
Yes, in the National Theatre. You heard it, Nigeria. Your view is going.
The National Theatre is now the Wole Soyinka.
The Wole Soyinka Theatre. It's still our National Theatre, though. Wole Soyinka Theatre.
That is all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So